That's how you do it. What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of What's the Tea as we break down House of the Dragons into House of the Dragon. And today we are talking about episode 8. So when I tell you, even though so there was a lot going on in this episode, like a lot. Like so, before we get into it, what was y'all's first like initial reactions to this episode?
The very first thing I said was I was ready to be hurt again. That was the literal very first thing I had said. It was I was just ready. I was just ready 10 toes down to be heartbroken and as fucking just torn asunder emotionally. And that episode did not disappoint.
Cool.
Did you freeze?
All right, did you
Oh,
freeze?
oh wow, y'all. I guess I am frozen. I am looking at my. Okay, I am frozen. So y'all keep talking.
For me, I think it was a great. I can see why it got the highest rated is the highest rated episode. I like the pacing. I like the emotions behind like what we've seen so far from all these characters. This was a nice major time jump, 10 years, and I think we needed to see emotional beats happen, especially when you have King Viserys as old as he is. The kids have grown older, especially after the situation from last episode. I think we needed to see not necessarily a calmer episode, but we had an episode where we can actually soak in some emotions because I feel like since the season has started, it's been just pop, 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 pop. But I think this episode was one of those nice slow burn and enjoy what we have to offer as writers and as emotions that are coming off the screen. What's up,
Mhm.
how are y'all today? But yeah, I enjoyed it. It's my top 3 episode, top 3 already,
Like,
like top
like
3.
7 is my favorite. 7 is my
Mm-hmm.
favorite, and this one is my next to favorite because like we see the kids as they get older, and we see the the payoff of what happened that night
Right.
at in the Hall of Nine. And the first episode, then the first scene is Bela pretty much being by Rhaenys' side, like when they're
Mm-hmm.
trying to when Vaemon comes in, he pretty much is trying to say how how he's the rightful heir, of Driftmark. But the whole the first half is pretty much everyone trying to figure out, okay, who is the heir of Driftmark going to be? Like, is it going to be
Right.
Vaemon, Corliss's brother? Is it going to be Rhaenys, who is Corliss's wife? Or is it going to be Lucerys, who is Lenore's son, who is the next rightful heir of Driftmark? So who has the right to this Driftmark throne?
Right.
And Bela is pretty much taken under Rhaenys' wing, so she writes Damon, be like, "Hey, look, Dad, here's what's happening. Like, you and Rhaenyra need to know what they're trying to do to Lucerys, because like they trying to pretty much undermine Lenore, my uncle's wishes, and make sure that Lucerys isn't the heir." So that's how you know that Damon raised him right, because even though she may be apart from him, she's still like telling him what's going on. Like, Dad, this is what you
Right.
need. And just when Rhaenys comes back to King's Landing, and Rhaenyra and Daemon, and the family come to King's Landing, there's still this kind of animosity between Rhaenyra and Rhaenys, because Rhaenyra still blames Rhaenyra and Daemon for quote unquote killing Lenore, even though she doesn't know what happened to him. Like, girl, your son
Right.
is like somewhere else living his best life right now. I know she
Exactly.
like I know Rhaenyra wants to tell her that. I know
And I
she
was
wants
saying
to.
that too. I was like, I hate that we have to have this lumen effect of, they think he's dead and they think that they did it because that causes tension, that causes beef. And it just, even when they were having their conversation, I just was like, girl, I wish you could just tell her, because I feel like it would be totally different if they knew he wasn't, that he was alive, and he just, but it does compromise their plan and everything like that. But at the same time, that's one of those things where I wish the writers could break the rules and just let, and so they can be in on it. I think the parents would have understood. I mean, they understood that y'all really wasn't smashing like that. So
Right.
it's like, why wouldn't they not understand the plan to, keep that bloodline going? But it is what it is.
Yeah, I hope y'all can be heard. I don't know how.
Yeah, you're coming in.
You're
coming
good.
in.
It's been consistent and clear because I got my laptop watching me and I just look froze, and I don't know how much of that is the case. I just was. How much did y'all hear the first time I started speaking?
We just talked about the first, basically the first 10 minutes and just how situations are transpiring over here in Valerian.
And from earlier, when I was saying, how much did y'all hear from me earlier?
Oh, not too much because you froze and cut.
Right. Clean out.
Well, before I do that again, because I don't know what's going on with my internet, I would like to just say the very first thing I wrote was, I'm ready to be heard again.
Oh, you said that. Yeah, you said that part. Yeah, you said that part.
Yeah, because it was just an overwhelming feel of tension and anxiety that I had. And I just was very much so dreading the worst possible things that could happen in this episode. And this episode was a lot. And I know some folks were saying going into it that it was going to be a slow episode. And, they were kind of making it seem like it wasn't going to be significant or like kind of a dead episode. But I disagree. I disagree very much so with that. And yeah, I'm glad folks are saying it's the best episode so far because I agree, because it was a lot of acting with the accent over the I and everything.
Period. And we're introduced to when Rhaenyra and Daemon are still at Dragonstone, we see Jace, the older version of Jace, teenage Jace, learning High Valyrian, and he's trying. He is trying, and Rhaenyra's like, look, Jace, you're not gonna learn High Valyrian in a day, right? You're not gonna learn it in a day. But he's like, no, Mom, I can do this. Let me learn. A good king, knows the language of his forebears. So let me do this. So we see right away what type of person that Jace is. He's loyal, he's kind, he's there for his mom, his siblings. He's a good kid. Overall, he's a good kid. And Luke is pretty much the same way. And when they go, to King's Landing, they try and, pretty much demean them in any way possible. Because, we see Aemon glare. As soon as they see Aemon again, they're like, oh shit. Oh it's him.
They were so shook.
Shook. They were shook. And then, when Vaemon, comes through the gates with his banners, Jace turned. The camera is a close up on Jace because Jace is the one who's being targeted by him. So Jace has this look like, oh shit. So Jace is not Jace, Luke. Luke is being cornered by just enemies all around.
Right.
And he's like a kid. He's 13, 14 years old. Poor kid. He doesn't even know what's really happening. He does know, but it's dang, y'all really doing this to a child? And when they come, when they're there, there's still that animosity between Rhaenyra and Alicent, and when Rhaenyra, when Alicent comes in their room, and Alicent comes in, and Rhaenyra comes, and Alicent's like, I know there was tension the last time that we met, and then you see the scar from when Alicent cut her, and then Rhaenyra quickly tries to pull down her sleeve of her dress because she just Rhaenyra still feels that pain from being cut by her. I mean it's not maybe not physically but emotionally, you can tell the scars are still there. And when they go to Viserys's bedside, dude is down bad. He looks as everyone has posted these memes of him looking like the old chocolate woman from SpongeBob, Gollum, Tales from the Crypt. He is
he looked down bad. Like
He
I
looked.
wasn't expecting him to be, I wasn't expecting him to like progress into that with his sickness and everything like that. But that's an emotional beat where I'm like, oh, it's been 10 years. This man is still suffering. He is still going through it, and he is now down to the bed, ain't moving, has no recollection of anything that has happened. When he was like, who goes there? I was like, oh, he has no type of brain, no type of nothing. Like he's like on his last leg. This is his last day, his last hour type, It was very sad to see, especially from what he's been through and who's around him. And then to see that, the hand is back and all these people, and it's just like, it just feels like a setup,
Yeah, I will say this. It's like if he looked like having shit out of a spoiled anus. Like he really was bad. He was like very down terrible. But his like they were kids and they were like basically keeping him sedated with that tea they were giving him effectively. So it was a bad experience. It was a very bad experience for him. And it was rough seeing, I talked about it last time, but seeing Damon have to look at his brother in a manner like that, and you can just tell that this isn't the same. Like he's not viewing his brother the same like he once did. Now he's having to come to grips that his brother's gonna die, and there's a lot that happened in their life that I'm pretty sure Damon is wishing he could take back, which is why when Allison meets them in in the room, in his bedroom, Damon is just like,
I'm over you. Like he had
like round after round after round at Allison, like, oh, so this is what constitutes for King's Landing and all of that, and how he's being taken care of and everything. Like you can just feel the anger and apathy emanating from Damon in that scene. And
because they ran straight through that shit. Like they already knew, just looking at his condition, y'all ain't really been taking care of him.
Right.
Y'all just been doing what y'all want to do. Came in here, switched the carpets, and put new curtains up and stuff, and just wanted to do what y'all wanted to do.
Yep, because Rhaenyra said she barely even recognized it. Like when she walked in the castle, like this doesn't even feel like the same castle that I grew up in. And I know it hurt her, like watching her dad, like seeing her dad in that state, when she was a girl, like seeing him as this all powerful figure, and then watching him pretty much just go away, just like just into nothing. Like I know that it hurt her, and it's like you could like just just like you could just feel it. And and this all comes to like when she visits his bedside that night when it's raining, and that's how you know that Allison doesn't want anything to do with the king, because she's not even in his bedchamber that night. Like they're not even sleeping in the same room. I mean, granted, it's hard. I mean, it's hard, he's got left, but like they're not even anywhere near each other. So when Rhaenyra,
she don't give a fuck,
right? Because like and like when they're talking like Father, do you believe like the Song of Ice and Fire? Do you believe it to be true? And he's like, Aegon's dream, like yes, like I've and she's like, I don't know if I can be the one to do it, and all this stuff. And she's like, help me, put Viserys, as the heir of Driftmark, like help me do that, Father. Do this for me, Dad. Like do it for me. And he takes a deep breath. Rhaenyra's crying, and the next day, it's pretty much everybody, gathered around, pretty much giving their reasons why, each person should be their Driftmark, right? And before Rhaenyra and Rhaenys had this thing like, look, if you instate Luke as the heir Driftmark, Baela will marry Jace, she'll become queen, and then Rhaena will marry Luke. All right, it's a great match. The boys and girls like each other enough to where it's a match, so why not? And Rhaenys, like she's kind of like her anger towards Rhaenyra is like, it's a good offer, but I'm not listening to you. Like it is a good offer, but I'm not listening to you.
Right. And I felt bad because it's like that's the time when I was looking at the camera, I was like, God, I wish that you could just come as forces and just be like, he ain't dead. We faked it.
Right.
But I get it. it's just a mess.
Right, a hot mess. Like so much miscommunication. Like so much miscommunication. This whole episode's theme is miscommunication. Cause and that has come to play at the end. Okay. So, like, they're all, Vaymon's there, pretty much saying why he should be, why he should, he goes first, saying why he should be, the heir, because he say, he is Corliss's blood brother. Like, that's his claim. Like, because he is Corliss's younger blood brother, that's why he has the right to the Driftmark throne. Then it's Rhaenys' turn, and she shocks Rhaenyra, because, Rhaenyra's not really expecting her to, like, stand up for Luke. She's expecting, Rhaenys to put her own name in the hat. I mean,
Right.
anybody would do that. But she was like, no, Luke, because my husband, who is also on his deathbed, should, his wish was to have Lucerys as the heir of Driftmark. And Rhaenyra's like, what? She was like,
Right.
thank you. Like, okay. And then, Vaemon gets mad because he wasn't expecting Rhaenys to be on Rhaenyra's side. And so he was like, but before all, the back and forth happens, as soon as Rhaenyra starts giving her piece, the king comes in, walks like majestically, like the king Viserys is, like pray, like when I tell you,
Your Majesty, King Viserys. Oh, it was like, I don't know, it was like that. It was like that thank you God moment, almost like, like, oh my God, like, and right before that, he hadn't drank that stuff, so it was like the milk poppy. So he was in his right mind to actually have some strength and actually communicate, if he needed to speak. So the fact that he walked up in there and had his cane, but I will say this part right here, it told me up just because I know he's in pain. I know he's going through, and I know that was a lot for him. But it was so good to see Allison and her damn stank ass daddy's face look real cute, because he was walking down that aisle like by himself, no help. Because obviously, I felt like that was also a looming theme of them not helping him because he's by himself. So it was made me feel like he's been by himself this whole time on his whole journey in these last 10 years, and he's walking up to this throne by himself.
It was a beautiful thing to see. As soon as the doors bust open, you see him walking. You're like, oh, he's trying. Like, this man is like crawling, trying to make sure his daughter is okay. Like, make sure that his grandson is all right. Like, do what he's supposed to do. Because, Rhaenyra practically begged him that the night before, like, Father, help me. Like,
right.
I need whatever you can do for me, please do it. And he does. You hear this majestic music, like he's trying. When I tell you, that man is like,
he like truly succeeded his aesthetic as King Viserys. Like, it was like that made it like solidified right there.
And just like Rhaenyra's face, she was like, oh, he actually did it. Like he actually came. Like her, like just the look on each other's face. Like the blacks, they're like, yeah. And then the greens are like, oh shit.
Because it was a great moment. I felt, and I think Rhaenyra needed that push just because of her crying with him and he not being very coherent to understand and everything, and her pleading with him. She needed that. That was like a boost of motivation and confidence for her to see her father once again walk down as king. Oh, the mask put it on a whole nother level.
Love that aesthetic. Love it. Love it. Giving me Phantom of the Opera vibes. Love it.
Yes.
Love it. And like Daemon helping him up. Like he didn't want anyone else. If anyone else came to try, maybe Rhaenyra. Maybe he might have accepted Rhaenyra's help if she would have went up there and helped him. But anybody else besides Daemon or Rhaenyra, he was like, no, don't help me. Like, but as soon as he turned around and saw Daemon, he was like, all right, you can help me up. You can help me up.
Ooh, that right there. That really had me in my feels, because I was like, I know y'all done beef for years, and I know y'all done had this unspoken tension, and for him to help you up, and hand you your crown. Oh God. And then the music, it was just like, it was a lot of feels in that moment. I think that's been the best scene emotionally for this whole entire series. It was just like a full circle moment. Cause I am still king and I'm gonna say what the fuck I gotta say.
Period. And he
Like,
does. He's like, look, Lucerys has the right to the Driftmark throne there, and no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like he has the right to the Driftmark throne. So it's like, all right, it is what it is. But of course, Vaemon being, well, Rhaenys reinstates what she said about how Corlys wanted, how he wanted Lucerys to be, on the throne. And, Vaemon is pissed. He's like, he calls Lucerys, Jason, Joffrey bastards, and then he calls Rhaenyra a whore. Daemon's like waiting. He's like, say it. Go on. Say it. She's a whore. And then he just
like, say what you gotta say. Get it off your chest. Because he was doing a lot of talking. A lot of talking.
I hate it was a black man that it happened to. Like, I hate it was a black man that it happened to.
Right.
Talking about how Game of Thrones does black characters. I hate it was a black man that did it. But it needed to be done.
Right.
Because I
get it, but it was just like, at that point, you're doing a little bit too much.
Yeah, well, you can't call the heir to the throne
a whore,
and then call her children bastards, especially in front of her daddy and her new husband.
Did he not tell y'all he wasn't there in the midst of all that when the eye got cut, but did he not say that anybody say anything that it would be their tongue? Like,
and Allison was like, don't do it. Like, Allison had this look like, I've been through this before. Like, don't do it. Like, don't. She had this look like, Vaemon, don't you say another word. Don't you say another word.
Okay.
Like even Viserys got his knife out. Like, look, I'll cut your tongue out myself.
It was a good piece of violence for a nice, subtle, dramatic episode. I will say that we didn't need a lot of blood and gore and stuff like that, but that was just enough to have for the whole episode, just because how deep it was and what the situation was.
And Aemon's look when he saw Daemon do it, he was like, "Oh,
scared.
Oh, who's like, oh, Daemon?"
Oh, he was like, "Oh, I want to be like my uncle.
Yeah, bro, I want to be like him. I want to be like him.
I see myself in him.
Right, that's exactly what it was.
I see myself in him. I do.
But like the first half was incredible.
I'm sorry. What?
Like the first half was great because we see how the characters are when they get older. We see that, and then this next half is pretty much the dinner. Like he wants the family to be there for dinner. We forgot this part. This is why Allison goes double on my list, because we find out.
Oh yeah.
That Aegon raped a maid in the castle called Diane. Her name is Diane. And Allison goes to Diane. Allison is upset about the situation. She is upset about the situation. But she pretty much is on Aegon's side.
Yeah.
So she gives Diane money. And she gives her like an abortion potion.
The
potion tea, drinking, tea, to if she does get pregnant, to get rid, to get rid of the, of the child if she ever does get pregnant. And pretty much gaslighting her. Like, I mean, but in that time, like, who could she possibly tell? And what would have possibly happened to Aegon anyway? Because
nothing would have happened, but
it would nice. Like,
she would have told. It would have been more on her part that something could have happened. But what I hate about the scene is that I don't get it, but at the same time, it's like she, as a mother, she's trying to protect her own kids. But as a queen, you failed your people.
Oh, you failed this girl. Like you
you
failed
failed
this
her.
girl
You
because she
can give
came
her
to
money and
you.
give her a seat, but you failed her at the end of the day.
Right, because she came to you talking about how your son raped her, and you just like, I'm sorry, but pretty much a shrug. And here's some
Right.
money. Here's to make sure you don't get pregnant by him, though.
Right. Here's some money for your troubles. Go get you a nice little stay, you know. But
Even
like
though he
that
has bastard children all over, like even though he probably has.
we will have that memory embedded for the rest of our life. But what I will say about Miss Allison is that she did. All her kids, and what I love is that all her kids are going to give her hell.
Yes.
Like I love
like
that because you put yourself in this situation and you just gonna have to deal with it. But she did slap the shit out of his ass though.
She did, because like I said, like Aegon has bastards. Like he has them. Like let's face it, like he has bastard children probably like all over King's Landing, and just how Helena's like, he's my brother husband. He's my brother husband. Like I'm never with him.
And I just hate how they make her so like they make her a true platinum blonde. like she has no recollection. It gives off like super clueless to nothing that's happening around her. Like
and like when Allison marches in his room, she's like, Aegon. Like she's pissed at this boy. She's like, she is tired. She is fed up of his bullshit. Like she is tired of his bullshit. Like she knows he is not ready to be king, but yet you're pushing this boy to be king, and it's like he's not ready. Like he doesn't know how to lead him like at all.
But he don't know how to lead his damn self.
And you and your daddy, your conniving daddy, are trying to pretty much put this rapist on the throne. Like what? Make it make sense. Make it make sense.
They can't make it make sense, Avia.
Like, and I'm just, it just frustrates me that Aegon gets away with this type of stuff. He gets away with it.
And then you're gonna hug your daughter, like, that's like the only compassion that you're gonna hug her. Like, I just wish this doesn't happen to, or it does not happen to you, my only daughter.
Mm-hmm.
So that was like the only little compassion from that whole situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, so they have dinner. They have the family dinner, which is pretty much, Viserys' last dinner. And, everyone's trying to get along. They really are trying. Like, Rhaenyra does a nice speech. She does a nice toast to Alicent. Alicent does a nice toast to her. Jace does one.
Jace was hot. Like Jace was, and I hate to say it, Jace was acting like a spoiled brat.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it, but it was like, dude, just chill out. Like, you gonna have your moment. At the end of the day, you still scarred this man for the rest of his life.
Right.
Y'all scarred this man for the rest of his life. And I just wish they all would have took heed of what their grandpappy was saying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here and I'm glad I got all you faces around me.
Right.
And that was his last dinner. And as Q said it, the last supper, and I think that felt good to see all that happening. And then they was laughing and everything, but child, that was a hot mess still.
Right. And like at first, Baela and Jace, they were, happy with engagement. Luke and Rhaena were happy with the engagement. Like everyone, like it was a, relatively, what you expect. Like messy, but not too messy. And then Aegon was trying to hit on Baela, and Baela wasn't having it. Like Jace wasn't having it. Like, what? He's like, oh, now you'll know when they, and congrats to Jace and Bela and Raina and Luke, and then Aegon was like, oh, now you'll officially be able to lay with the woman, and it's like Jace was mad, like, don't you talk about my betrothed like that, like don't
Right.
you ever like talk about Bela like that, like, and that's one thing that I really appreciate about Jace and Luke is that they always stand up for Bela and Raina, like always, like they're there for them, which is why it's a good match. Which I think, which is why, same goes for Raina and Bela. Like they're there, to help out. They feel the same way about Jason Luke, so
Mm-hmm.
it works. Like the match works, and and of course, the part that really, well, it's not, well, this part is messy, but it's not too messy. Jace asks Helena to dance, and Aegon gets jealous. Um, but the part was when I think when they brought out the pig to eat, and Luke just has this smirk. He's just like, he smirks at Aemon, because remember in episode 6 they brought him a pig with wings, saying here's your dragon, saying Aemon's still salty about that, even though he has Vagar, he's still salty about that. And so Luke, he thinks it's funny, so he smirks. And so of course Aemon stands up, and he throws digs at them. He was like, a toast to my nephew, incredibly strong boys. Like, don't do it. Don't be messy, Ava. Don't be messy. Don't bring up the
They
daddy.
was all being messy. They were all being messy, though. They all was being messy.
All of them being messy. Like, all of them were being messy. And it's just funny that Aemon got to them, and he said, he said again, well, I always said that they were strong boys. And Jace was like, don't you say it, like, don't you say it again. And Aemon was like, what you gonna do about it? So they start fighting. Aegon pushes Jace's Lucerys's face on the table. Jace punches Aemon. Aemon, starts to fight Jace, and
I loved it because it gave me very much. It gave me very much. They jumped them 10 years ago,
now they
and then they came in it like when he smashed his head into that plate. I was like, "Whoa, they ready for y'all this time?" What y'all gonna do?
Because it was unexpected. Because they weren't
right. It was unexpected that they fought back.
Aemon's that silent. He's that silent type. Like Aemon will sit back, not say a word, just sit back, observe. Like he'll sit back, observe, strike when the time is right. Like that. That's exactly the type of person he's like Daemon. Like Daemon observes. He leans and observes before he does what he needs to do. And but I got to give it to my girl Bela. She was about to, because I saw in the corner. I saw in the corner in the right, and that's at the end scene when the guards are trying to, hold Jace back. You see Bela in the end, like trying to run up, and Raina is holding her. Like, Bela, calm down. Like you can hear it. She's like, Bela, calm down. And it's just like she gonna ride. Like Bela gonna, because she, according to the book, she has the same characteristics as Daemon. Like she's like Daemon. So, and I want to see more of that from her. Like I want to see her be that badass, be that she's portrayed to be. Like I'm ready to see that. And I know I hope. Look, House of the Dragon writers room, if you're watching this, like please do this for us. Make Bela one of the badasses that do right by Black women. Like make them awesome. Like
you already took their mama away from
you. Already took their mama away. Like already took their mama away. Like please, like let us have this. Like they are awesome. Like the twins are awesome. Let them be awesome.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
I will say I do appreciate Viserys sharing, he's, as he said, take me as I am, look at me how I am and everything. So they can show that this was some real shit right now,
And that was that minute. My bad.
No, you're good.
That minute, like that, showing the song, showing them actually laughing, dancing, having fun. Like that's what family's supposed to be. That's all he ever wanted. Like that's
Right.
all he ever wanted was his family by his side being happy. That's all he ever wanted. And him getting that, like his last night.
I mean, I think that's all he wanted before he actually passed on. And I think that's why I hate that they was giving him this drink or this concoction, this milk poppy or whatever, because that was separating him from his mind and his ability to be himself and speak on situations. So I really hate that once he did not have it and he can actually, like he said, I don't want to drink it. Before he went to there, he was like, I don't want to drink it because I want to have a clear mind. I don't want to be cloudy. That just told me right then and there that he wasn't able to think for himself. So the fact that he can actually get out things that he probably been wanting to say and then see his whole family like that was like a last dying wish type thing.
And one thing that people pointed out on Twitter, and this was very good symbolism, it was like, his bad side of his face, that was where the Greens were sitting. That's the side that the Greens were sitting on. And the side that was actually, better, that's the side that Rhaenyra, Daemon, and all the blacks were sitting on. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's stressing me out because that makes perfect sense.
Like people that actually wanted the best for him.
Much sense.
Like the people who wanted the best for him, were on his good side. Like, and the people who were poisoning his mind, pretty much making things worse, are on his decrepit side. I'm like, that makes so much sense. Makes so much sense.
Like I'm shook because that makes so.
Like someone pointed that out. I'm like,
good. Whoever pointed that out. Golly.
Like, I had to retweet that. Because you'll see if you go to my Twitter, you'll see. I'm like, oh
yeah, I didn't even see that. God, that makes so much sense.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
So our boy Damon, like he showed up not only once. He didn't show out just once. He showed out twice. So after Aemma tries to, size up Jace, then everyone, Rhaenyra, talks to the kids. Okay, everybody, go to your room. Like, okay, that's enough. Like, go to your room. Aemma tries to, strut up, and Daemon just looks at him, walks up, and like, he does that side, and then you're like, this is light work.
Time, homeboy.
like light work. This is light work, son. I'm a one-man army. Do you know how many people I've taken?
Do you know who I am?
The great value version of me. I'm not scared of you. So Amon's like, okay.
I'm gonna leave.
I'm gonna head out. That's SpongeBob me. That's SpongeBob me when he gets out. I'm gonna head out and get
right. I'm gonna head out.
Like Damon put that boy in his place. Like I had to laugh at that. I was like, ah.
It was really like, it was one of those moments like, choose your battle wisely. You want to do this right now?
Right. You just saw him a few hours ago cut off somebody's head.
Right.
Like, you just saw that a few. Do you want that to be you? Like, no. So that was funny. And then, what actually surprised me, what really surprised me was that there was 1 second or like 30 seconds of Rhaenyra and Alicent actually being like how they were when they were younger, when they, when we saw them as teenagers before Alicent got married to the king. Like we saw that like for a little sliver, for a little bit. And it's like, okay, so there are still good feelings toward each other. Like, okay, like there's still some, feelings that, they can get past this, whatever, tension that they have, they can get past it.
Right.
Because the king, both of them love and admire the king. So they want to, have his wish, they want to fulfill his wishes of being there, for him, and really like get along, like he said. And they really were trying. And they really were. Because they missed each other. I mean, like, you can't just like throw away a friendship like that.
Right.
And then not still, feel something. And I thought that was a nice little touch. But of course, Alicent had to ruin it. She had to ruin it. And Viserys,
I just knew. I said, okay, they're gonna all, be this one big family. We'll get to whatever the drama between the nephews and uncles is, and blah blah blah. But these two can probably put back whatever feelings and emotions that they had from 10 years ago and just put it to the side because of the situation that just happened. No shade. I thought we was on a new page. And then,
but unfortunately, after the, everybody, Rhaenyra, Daemon, and the kids, they go to Dragonstone, but they go back home, and the king is on his deathbed. Alicent is there, and the king pretty much starts talking about, Aegon the Conqueror's dream of the Song of Ice and Fire, talk about how a Targaryen is the one to, Song of Ice and Fire is pretty much, whole Game of Thrones, where, the White Walk, where they have to fight the White Walkers. And so Alicent in her mind is not thinking of Aegon the Conqueror. She's thinking of Aegon, her son. This is Aegon the son vision that's supposed to be happening. Like, no, it is not your son. Your son is not meant to be king. Look at the state of your son. Your son is not supposed to be king.
Like, you literally, and I think mentally, I think she's gone through a lot of stress, and I think she's going through her own, psychological things right now because of what she's been through in her life. And I think her hearing that was just like, one of those moments of believing what you hear. So I don't know how to put it, but I felt like she just used that to run and go with whatever the decision was.
Oh yeah, she took it and ran with it. Oh yeah, she absolutely took it and ran with it because
took off and was gone.
Because I believe that the king thought he was talking to Rhaenyra.
Yeah,
he thought he was talking to Rhaenyra because he's the only one.
Even the whole behind the scene, the whole, the after show.
I forgot to watch it this time. I forgot to watch it.
They said that, they really was basically saying that he really was just speaking on what he was speaking on earlier. Because Rhaenyra did visit him at night.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee Alicent has not been coming to him, see him at night.
Especially talking about the Song of Ice and Fire.
You think you know about you don't know nothing about that.
Because when Rhaenyra, right before she became heir, right when, Viserys said he was gonna name her heir, but before she was officially, crowned, I guess, or before people officially bent the knee to her, he, or swore their allegiance to her, he told her about the vision of, of Aegon's vision of the Song of Ice and Fire. He told her. He didn't tell anyone else. He didn't even tell Daemon. He didn't even tell Daemon about this. He told Rhaenyra because he knew Rhaenyra was going to be his next heir. That's why he told her specifically. And just that's why, on his last breath, the person that he wanted to see the most was Rhaenyra. And, just seeing, just that's who he wanted to see in his last, but if it wasn't his wife, that's who he wanted to see in his last moments because he really wanted, to state Aegon's vision so that Targaryen to, defeat White Walkers will come, the prophecy of that Targaryen who is supposed to defeat the White Walkers could come true.
Yeah, hello?
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get my shit fixed. I'm sorry, y'all. There's a lot going on right now with your boy. I know I'm looking bad, but yes, can y'all hear me still?
Yeah.
Can y'all hear me still?
Yeah.
Okay. So I missed everything about everything.
Well, just give us your thoughts. Just
give us your thoughts of how you felt about the episode. Well, I will say one thing about this, with you actually watching this, and this is what we said when I brought this to your attention when we first started doing this and talking about it. But I think it's kind of cool that you are immersing yourself into this world and never have watch the actual Game of Thrones, which you will watch it once this is over because you will have time to actually soak in what happens in Game of Thrones. But I think it's very cool to have your perspective because you have never seen anything in this universe, and this whole House of the Dragons is just brand spanking new to you. You've been involved in these characters and everything, so your point of view is necessary. So please tell us, how did you feel about this episode and where you are now? Because I remember when you told me when we first started, you said, I'm gonna watch the first 3 episodes, and now we're on episode 8, and I think that's amazing because you have enjoyed
it. You kept watching it. Like, I'm proud.
You actually you kept watching it. So I'm really ready for you to watch Game of Thrones. I'm gonna watch it too when you do watch it. So I'm ready to see how you're gonna act to that because it's a whole bunch of stuff I can't wait to see how you react to. But currently now after episode 8, how are you feeling and what was you feeling with this episode?
This was the best episode I've seen so far. It was very dramatic, had a lot of great emotional beats to it. I personally think that it was like so sad to see the final day of Viserys, who was not a perfect king, but a good king nonetheless. And he loved his family till the bitter end. And yeah, even in his state, he was ready to cut a nigga tongue out.
Period.
For speaking out against his daughter, which is respect 100%. Also, pay attention to Aegon, that he was smiling when Viserys basically reaffirmed all of the claims Rhaenyra had, and because that pissed off Alicent, because Alicent told him earlier that he was no son of hers. So yeah, I told Mike this off camera, but if I was a writer for the show, just to illustrate how bad I would be at writing, I would have not even had that bed scene because I would wanted them to desperately have a lasting moment of happiness and unity before the Dance with the Dragons happened. But that's just me being a coward and trying to avoid too much conflict and a series bred of it. But yeah, this episode was great. It was fantastic. They need to stop fucking naming people Aegon. They need to stop naming people Aegon. That needs to stop. In this episode alone, there was 3 Aegons referenced, and none of them are from the same generation or age bracket. The Conqueror, the OG, who everybody follows in the proverbial footsteps. Then you have Aegon, the son of the series, brother of Rhaenyra, and then you have Rhaenyra's son.
And then Jon Snow's real name is Aegon.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Well, let me double check. I'm pretty sure it is. Let me double check before before I get
them damn dragon hill.
Yeah, Aegon Targaryen. He's Aegon. His real name is Aegon Targaryen. Yes, he's also Aegon, and he's one of the Targaryens known as it could either be him or Dany in the Song of Ice and Fire. So there you go.
These damn dragon hillbillies need to cut it out with these same naming bullshit. I'm sorry. I love the Targaryens, but these damn dragon hillbillies need to stop. And then the fact that, that all one of the most important powder keg moments of all of this. I'm sorry if my phone is beeping in the background. I don't know what's going on. But the bigger powder keg moment is predicated on the worst game of telephone played in King's Landing history. I mean, obviously we know that it's a lot more to it and the machinations that are involved with and everything as such. But I just it's heartbreaking, really. Cause you see Rhaenyra and Alicent, they want to go from enemies to lovers so bad, but they just can't. They just can't escape the machinations of others. Right. And then you have their children, who they like Aemon and Aegon. They're just a bunch of shitters. Aemon, he lost an eye, so he's definitely not trying to reconcile anytime soon. Aegon, maybe, because he really doesn't care. He's been the most abused for something he didn't ask to be from, as far on the children of the High Tower, and their sister. She's just I'm
She's just there.
I'm a claim it now. She is the third eye Raven of this squad because she keeps predicting shit and it's gonna come to pass. And that's all that's gonna be about that. But yeah, I think that's it. I think that the calm before the storm is such a light take on this. It's ridiculous. It's gonna be something. We're gonna be starting something. And shout outs to Homegirl with the spies because she got
yes. Well, let's talk
tea on everybody.
You brought up a real good point because in episode 9 she's gonna play a bigger role in episode 9 because people they forget, like the royal family forgets. If it wasn't for she's gonna say in this this new episode, like if it wasn't for the little people that y'all look down on, y'all wouldn't be where y'all are.
Right.
So y'all might want to give us, a little bit more respect because I got eyes and ears everywhere, and I can take you down.
Yep.
I can take you down quick, fast, in a hurry. So don't try and play with me. And I definitely want to see where she comes into play because they definitely underestimate her. And the ones that you underestimate, those are the ones you need to look out for. So I'm ready to see her cause so much chaos. Like I know she's mad at Damon for leaving her. I
know. Yep. Also, did y'all talk about Rhaenys basically having the 1,000-yard stare of somebody who is just numb to all of the tragedy in their life?
I mean, she has no choice. Like
I just watching when she was watching the Vaymon's, body being prepared. She was just like, fuck it all. This
because she didn't like him no way because how he was. She probably did. She was like, oh damn, okay, and moved on. Like she probably moved on. That's probably the quickest that she moved on from. Like, oh, okay, my brother-in-law's dead. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of read it though like a sadness, like nothing. It's like she's now lost basically everything. She's lost her son, her husband, probably. She's lost.
Well, he's still gonna come into play. Like, I think they just did that just to figure out like, well, okay, well, where is Corlys and all this? Because he does come back. Well, he's supposed to. Like in the books, like he plays a bigger part later.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
I think they're just trying to, set up a lot of stuff that's gonna happen in the future seasons, but still give us a lot of dramatic feels for this current season. So yeah. Did anybody catch at the end when Viserys was doing his last breath? He said, "My love."
Yeah, he was being reunited with his wife.
You probably saw as soon as he was passing away. Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely because he called her Emma. He called Allison Emma at the funeral.
That was a dope episode. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I can see why it is the highest rated episode of the season, just because of how they just told a story with emotions. Mm-hmm. Didn't have too much violence. It was just let's really show the audience these characters on another emotional, mm-hmm. cliff or standpoint, mm-hmm. or feeling.
And also, I'm ready for the next episode because I don't think they might put the blacks in this episode, but I think mm-hmm. this episode is just gonna be according to I'm not gonna spoil what the leak said. I'm not gonna say what the leak said, but according to the trailer, from what the trailer looks like, is going to be centered mainly on the Greens and them having that secret council meeting of figuring out and other stuff that happens around them, figuring out, how to make Aegon king. Now that, Alicent is so hell-bent on making Aegon king. Aegon king. And, just that. I think they're probably going to add some maybe intersect some clips of the Team Black in there. But I think for the most part, this episode, because it's called the Green Council. Is that what the next episode is called?
I think it's the Green Council.
Yeah. So I think that one's mainly going to focus on them pretty much trying to make Aegon king and trying to figure out a plan to take out Rhaenyra so that there's no any kind of blowback. So,
well, it's gonna go down like Charlie Brown.
I'm excited. I'm ready for everything to come to a head, and honestly, and it's just no shade. I'm ready to see it so I can go binge watch Game of Thrones again. Just because, like, it just makes me.
I swear I will.
It's making me want to just watch it season by season again. I just think about. I saw somebody post like the accumulations of episode 8, how they've been like powerful episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, episode 9 is like they call the penultimate episode where like the battles happen. Like Riggs was Battle of the Bastards, and then like 3, like season 3 was like just they date. There's a a Twitter that has.
I have to send it to y'all because I saw it last night.
But
so how many episodes left is in the season?
2.
9 is like it's gone by so quick because like the trailer, like the teaser trailer came out a year ago.
Yeah.
It really came really? I thought it came out like 6 months ago. Really? It came out a year ago? Like, dang.
Mind you, they don't film season 2 until the spring.
March, right? They don't film until late March. So I'm like, oh. And that means probably about 6 months of filming, 3 to 6 months of filming. And then you got like 3 to 6 months of post-production, editing and, marketing. I'm like, no.
Hopefully we get it. I hope we can get it at the same time. I mean, they already have sets built and everything like that. So I'm hoping that they can only, they'll film. Hey, man, my dog is in here.
Oh, come on. Hey, nephew.
Yeah, come on. Say hey to the people.
Hey, nephew.
That's my baby. I just really hope they can just give it to us in the same time frame. Just go ahead and drop that baby in August and keep it moving.
They're not gonna drop it in August.
Like, ain't no way. Like, come on now. Y'all got sets built and everything. Don't play with me.
They'll probably finish filming in August, yeah, but they ain't gonna.
Look, what they're doing is they're gonna sit up here and distract me with The Last of Us, which is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I haven't had the time to formally announce it, but all I will say is pay attention to our Twitch channel. In regards to that, I have plans and ideas on how to implement that.
Ooh.
I hope y'all heard that. Yeah. I don't know how choppy I was.
So let's bow down to Paddy Considine because he received a text message from George R.R. Martin letting him know that his version of Viserys he portrayed in the show was better than what he wrote in the books. The GOAT!
Yes!
The GOAT! He's the GOAT. Viserys / Paddy is the GOAT.
He did really good. Like, I mean, and that's why I think that's why that this last episode and just seeing how his whole ending just come full circle. He got what he wanted and everything, and it's just I need him in more stuff so I can stand.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, that's about it. Have we reached the final topic?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I'm very sorry because I was very.
Trust me, I know all about internet issues. You are okay, Q.
Yeah, you're good. We good. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Yes.
Yes.
We'll be back next week with the next episode of episode 9, and it's going down, y'all. Episode 10 is gonna break my heart. Anyway.
Oh yeah, definitely.
All right. Bye.
Peace out.
Woo.